number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is...
Hi, and welcome to Studio Time with Zach. My name is Zachary Rutter. I'm a professional artist based out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I'm here today to teach you guys the importance of understanding your process. I know what you guys are thinking. Zach, you're crazy. You're giving away your secrets. No, not at all. I'm showing you guys how easy and how fun it can be being a professional artist if you know exactly what to do to become one. Since moving into the new studio space, I've had a lot of work that got put on the back burner, custom commissions for clients that have been piling high. So this episode, we're gonna focus on the process of creating 3 separate custom commissions. It's gonna be a lot of work, but definitely a lot of fun. Let's get started. Now, as you can see, all 3 canvases have been hung up on the working wall, and the one in the center already has some comic books on it. So let's start there. The last few videos have been so focused on getting some murals done using the doodle grid method that it's nice to finally take a step back and focus on the method that I created myself, the comic grid system, which is based off of the doodle grid system. So as you can see, every canvas I paint has a base layer of comic book collage. And the intentions of that is to use it in the same manner that we use the doodle grid method. I'm going to take a photo of this canvas surface, upload it onto Procreate, and add the image of the faceless face that's going on top of it, and use that as a guide to transfer the image onto the canvas. I'll show you that process right now.
Ooh, real quick, let's take a second to check out that Studio Time with Zach design. Who doesn't love the faceless faces on our thumbnails? Fun fact, each thumbnail for the show is designed by my fiance Jessica. We're thinking of making t-shirts. If you guys think you'd rock one, please comment and let us know. We're really not trying to make the investments if y'all ain't gonna love them. Alright, just as I mentioned a second ago, what we're gonna do is upload the image onto Procreate over top of the photo we just took of our canvas surface. I took a picture before I added the black detailing. No big deal, you get the gist. Then what we do is we take the image and drag it to the dimensions of the canvas and overlap it on top of our comic books, giving us a perfect grid without any measuring to transfer our image on. We're starting with the background. This is going to be a 3-layer painting before we even get to the faceless face. So I get a load of how I'm adjusting the opacity. That's where the magic really happens. So what you want to do is lower the opacity to 50% so you can see the comic books underneath, and then just transfer the image onto the canvas using that as our map. Looking good, feeling good, love it. So just for a little play-by-play, my process always starts with a comic book background, then I go on to Procreate, upload my image, then as you can see I start with a chalk background of the image I transfer. That way I don't have to make any mistakes with the paint, I can just erase real easily with a wet rag and move on to the paint once the chalk is outlined and looking good.
This one is going to be layer heavy. As I mentioned, it's a faceless face, but let me go into some detail. It's a faceless face of my good friend, Eric McKenna. Host of the Eric McKenna podcast, is kind enough to commission a piece for his studio, Boogie Street Studio in Coriopolis. If you guys haven't yet, I have been on his podcast twice now. Stop on over to the YouTubes and Facebooks and check it out. Let's get back to work. So I know we've already unveiled the new studio, but there's still work to be done. I think today I'm going to take advantage of this beautiful sunshine and do the next mural on the side wall of the studio. Let's get to work.
Alright, I know I was just saying how excited I was to get back to the comic book grid system, but I cannot stay away from this doodle grid system. I'm addicted. But that's okay. It actually is a part of my process. One thing that really keeps me going is balancing multiple things at once. I think it keeps projects fresh and maintains a lot of the fun. Also, check out my beautiful fiance and her purple slippers. Isn't she pretty and pregnant?
Alright, that was fun. The rose wall is done. Time to get back to the canvas work. Gotta say, Studio Time is looking fine. Y'all know I'm a cheesy mofo. Now it's time to get back to the commissions. As we've mentioned, first up, Eric McKenna. We're about a third of the way finished on this one, so it's time to kick it into hyperdrive, finish this up because we got 2 more paintings to go.
Now that's what I call a callback. Who remembers last week's episode when I used the stencil method to finish out the working wall? It really is a great method for replication, and I highly recommend you guys make some stencils of some of your work. You never know when you can use it.
Alright, now that we have the chalk outline finished up, it's time to move on to the skeleton outline.
If you guys have seen any other episodes before, then you already have a pretty good idea of what my process is. I usually start with a blank canvas, collage comics, move on to the Procreate design, add the skeleton outline, and continue working from there. It's a pretty easy process that I developed myself. This video is all about you guys finding your own process, so experiment and figure some stuff out.
The skeleton outline is finished. I gotta run off to a quick meeting, but when I get back, we're coloring this bad boy in and getting it finished.
It's always a good meeting when I get to drive by the Sun Heart sculpture. That's right, guys. I got a sculpture in Braddock. Drive on down and check it out.
Meeting went well. Time to get back to painting. Boom. So we got the color filled on the first painting, but as I mentioned, this video is all about focusing in on your process. We've got 2 more pieces to do, so let's get started on those.
If you've ever wondered what I use to glue my comic books to my canvas, it's called Mod Podge. I love this stuff. It's available at pretty much any craft store in the world. And hey, honestly, Mod Podge, sponsor your boy.
Remember, this episode is all about understanding your process. So as you guys see, I continued this process across every piece that I've ever painted, and I've mastered it after hours and hours and hours of repetition.
A little takeaway for all you boys and girls is that, as you can see, my process is sketch heavy. You know, whether I'm doodling in the Procreate app, doodling on paper, or transferring the skeleton outline onto a canvas, that's all just sketching. So I highly recommend you take some time to perfect your drawing abilities.
Would you just take a look at this happy couple? The skeleton outline for this beautiful portrait is finished. I am so happy with how it's looking so far. It's going to be a nice family portrait of my 2 friends, Abby and Jake, and their little pup, with the Roberto Clemente bridge in the background. This one's going to be finished up and shipped off to Iowa, where they're currently staying, but they're taking a little piece of Pittsburgh with them. We've got 1 more skeleton outline. Let's get it done. But first, you always want to make sure that the client approves the sketch before you start painting. So let's send this off to the client and see what she thinks. It only took 1 day, but our client has responded about the sketch. She loves it. It's time to get started
on the final skeleton outline.
We are cruising through these 3 paintings. I hope you guys are following along and paying attention to how I understand and utilize my process, because having a good understanding of my process is what allows me to juggle all 3 of these paintings at the same time. Now let's get this finished. Pug is looking so cute. Fun fact, it's my first time painting pugs, but this is probably my 25th or 26th pet portrait. So if you guys are interested in getting pet portraits, hit your boy up. Boom shakalaka. The final skeleton outline for this video is finished. One thing I cannot emphasize enough is how great the comic book grid system of transferring images is. As you can see, I had no problem transferring 3 images with ease using the system that I developed based off of the doodle grid method. Let's move on and start coloring some stuff in. Check out that sky so far. Where are my art history nerds at? You gotta admit, this portrait of Abby here looks a lot like Botticelli's Birth of Venus. Let me know in the comments if you guys agree. Let's get back to work. So another important part of understanding your process is understanding time management. When you're juggling several different projects at the same time, or doing an array of different things simultaneously, it's important that you keep to a rhythm. And one way that I do that is through vinyls. What's cool about vinyls is that they're based on sides, side 1, side 2. So it's cool to throw a vinyl on, press play, dive into your work, get it done. When the vinyl side is done, the music stops, you know it's time to take a break, drink some water, stay hydrated, whatever it is that you do, flip the side over, put the vinyl back on, and repeat. I do it all the time. It's a great way to maintain a rhythm to what you're doing. Let's see, 1 through 8 coming on next. Unfortunately, I don't own the rights to the music, or we would listen to it together. Let's get to work. Check them out. All these things are coming together so fast. We're gonna dive back into Eric's piece and try and get it done.
I get told all the time, Zach, the only reason you do faceless faces are because you can't actually paint faces. Well, that's not true. I've done several different faces. Back in college, I used to do a lot of that type of stuff, but it's crazy the type of reactions you get when you take everything away except the smile. And I think that resonates with a lot of people in a positive way.
Check it out. The Eric McKenna painting is complete. As we all know, it wouldn't be a Zachary Rutter painting without a signature.
Now, I know we usually end each video with the close-ups, but this video is going to be a little different. Here are the close-ups to Eric McKenna's piece. I cannot thank that man enough for supporting the art and being a friend in my life. I haven't mentioned yet, but he's a podcaster by night, real estate agent by day. I wouldn't even have the studio space I'm working in if it wasn't for him. So, Eric, I hope you love the piece, and thanks for being a part of my life, brother.
Now that Eric's is finished, we got to move on to Abby and Jake's. Let's get another one in the books. Wavy hair looks beautiful, but it sure does take forever to paint. I'm so excited with how this is looking so far.
This painting is very special, not only because it's some friends of mine that are supporting the art, but because I love painting the Faceless Face series and I love doing pet portraits, but it's very rare that I get to combine those two things together. And as I mentioned already, I take away the face as a way to emphasize the smile, but when you're painting pets, the love and positivity you feel from them comes entirely from their eyes. So I think that these are great parallels to the world, Take away someone's face and focus on their smiles, but look at the pets in your life, in their eyes, and feel their soul.
All right, check this out. Happy smiling faces with a beautiful little pup. I am so happy with how this one came together. You guys, I know you're paying attention. What's next? It's time for the signature.
And here you have it, the close-ups for painting number 2 in all their glory. I cannot thank my friends Abby and Jake enough for supporting the art. This is the first commission they have, and as I mentioned, it's on its way out to Iowa. So I'm very excited for some Pittsburgh art to be holding down the Pittsburgh nation in Iowa. And thanks again, guys, for supporting the art.
Plot twist. I know I told you guys we were going to be getting 3 paintings finished for this week's episode, but that was kind of a lie. I knew I wanted to go over the final, very important part of understanding your process, and that's meeting deadlines. Me personally, I like to stay ahead of deadlines as often as I can, so these first 2 paintings had very close deadlines, while this third piece has about a month or 2 before it needs to be finished. So what I'll go ahead and do is repeat everything that you saw in this week's episode for my process and start with that piece and 2 new pieces. And that's how I like to stay busy and stay working. I always have something that needs to be done, something that doesn't need to be done quite just yet, and maybe even work on a project like a mural for myself. With all that being said, it's that time again. It's the end of the video. We've got 2 beautiful paintings in the books with a 3rd one coming very soon. As always, if you guys had fun, if you enjoyed yourself, and if you think you learned a thing or 2, please like, comment, and subscribe to stay up to date with all the fun happening at Studio Time with Zach. Until next time, keep creating art.